You might say, if Ofsted were achieving anything, you could balance the two things up and say that these deaths and the appalling stress and the huge loss of teachers, which it causes, is a necessary price to pay. But actually, Ofsted achieves nothing. There's no evidence that Ofsted does anything to improve education in this country.
So when a school is deemed to be, less than outstanding, and areas are identified on the internal reports, I presume they go to the education department as well. Presumably, remedial measures are taken, and those areas of concern are addressed. Is that not helping?
Well, I don't think there's any evidence that actually happens, except in a very, very long term. What happens is that parents desert the school finds it more difficult to get good teachers. The overwhelming, and Caversham Park's an exception, but the overwhelming majority of schools who are found to be inadequate are, of course, those working in deprived areas. So it just makes it worse. And back in 2018, the National Audit Office, which was quite sympathetic to Ofsted at the time, reported that Ofsted cannot show that its work improves schools at all. Now, in the 5 years intervening, Ofsted has completely failed to counteract that judgment. Another thing, if I may, back in 2010, when David Cameron came to power, he and Nick Clegg produced a white paper, and in the introduction they said, we must learn from other countries, and they instanced Finland. Now, Finland actually abolished school inspections in 1992. Estonia, which is now the leading European country in education by a country mile, doesn't have school inspections.
Right.
So clearly, they're not needed.
It's good to speak with you. Thank you, Michael Pike, former teacher, now representing the Campaign for State Education. Samaritan's number, by the way, if you feel upset by anything that you heard there. Samaritans 116123. 7:55 is the time. Let me talk about the trains now. The long-running standoff on the railway has escalated once again after both major unions called fresh strikes, accusing train operators of torpedoing negotiations. So the RMT have called a 24-hour strike for May, just hours after the train drivers union ASLEF announced 3 separate days of rail strikes in May and June. So you've got the Eurovision Song Contest, you've got the FA Cup final, all affected by this. But I mean, just quite frankly, people are having to go to work and go about their business. People are affected all the time. I mean, it's a shame when a major sporting event is affected, or a major cultural event like Eurovision, especially for the cause of the people of Ukraine. But it's they're kind of in the way, and the unions, I think, probably say that had nothing to do with their decision, but disruption is what we're expecting. So what is going on? Simon Corbett can help me with that. Hello, Simon.
Andrew, yes, absolutely. Just spell out the problems that are facing travellers through May and into June. As you say, the ASLEF Train Drivers Union, they will be striking on Friday the 12th of May, Wednesday the 31st, and also Saturday the 3rd of June. That last date is intended to hit the FA Cup final and also the Epsom Derby. We've then got the RMT, the main rail union. They will be striking on Saturday the 13th of May, the day of the Eurovision final. Now, not all train firms are going to be affected. For example, Merseyrail, which runs trains in the Liverpool area as far as Chester and Ormskirk and Southwark, is actually going to be laying on extra trains. But anyone hoping to get there on Northern or Avanti West Coast or Trans-Pennine Express faces problems. And, well, we are in this ludicrous situation where that will pretty much take things up to a year since the first national rail strikes since the 1980s began. Since then, the RMT union, I've been counting up this morning for you, Andrew, 22 days of strikes, a further 8 days that were announced but then called off, sometimes at very short notice. So effectively, they had the same effect as strikes, and the ASLEF union, they've called their members out 8 times. So it's an absolute mess. Industrial relations extremely toxic, and I can only imagine that what's going through ministers' minds at the moment is that they're turning this into a war of attrition, maybe a bit like the miners' strike. They believe that support for these strikes will crumble if they just keep
People just get on, Simon. People just get on with finding other ways to go expensive service, often unreliable, uncomfortable, and people, I think people are kind of learning to live without train, more working from home, so less people commuting, and people just find a way around somehow because they have to.
They certainly do, and actually getting to Eurovision, lots of long-distance coach companies will be running special trips, and for all those Manchester United and City fans hoping to get to Wembley on the 3rd of June, National Express laying on extra coaches direct to the stadium, so people will cope. It's just extraordinarily unfortunate that taxpayers, many of whom never go near a train, are pumping billions of pounds every year into what looks an increasingly dysfunctional industry. And even though there's over 20 million people like me who do not have access to a car and rely on rail, as you say, you find ways around it. The rail revenue has collapsed because of basically the number of season ticket holders has gone through the floor. So it's a miserable time at exactly the moment when people want things to get better.
For all the above reasons, I was looking forward to speaking with the Transport Secretary Mark Harper, but he cancelled after agreeing to come on the programme yesterday. So we were a bit cross about that, and I wanted you to ask a couple of questions of him, which we then were going to play to him because you're an expert in this field. But he's decided to go elsewhere. And we're just trying to work out why. We think it's a little bit rude that they did that. What would you have asked him if you were me and he had decided to actually be on instead of decide not to be?
Well, I would say, how has the government allowed things to become quite so toxic and unpredictable? I'd also want to know what his message is for the poor old passenger who's stuck in the middle of all this, and how the government proposes that they are going to reform the railway so that actually it's a reliable system at a reasonable fare, rather than the utter shambles we're seeing at the moment.
Simon, perhaps I'll ask him those some other time when he does come on.
Hope so.
All the best, man. Thank you very much indeed. The one and only Simon Caller, travel correspondent for the Independent. Stella Gracie, senior female MP, subjected to a social services investigation after an online troll tried to get her children taken away from her with a vexatious complaint about her political views. I mean, why on earth would somebody in authority react to a vexatious online troll? It seems ridiculous. We'll investigate. 1 minute past 8. This is LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 8 o'clock, the Foreign Office has confirmed its evacuation effort in Sudan is over, following the departure of the final flight from an airfield near the capital. Nearly 2,000 people have left on planes since the UK operation began last Tuesday. Despite a ceasefire lasting up until midnight, gunfire has been reported by residents in Khartoum. Our reporter Lily Olmond says some British nationals are still stuck in the country.
At least 1,888 people on 21